This episode of Meaningful Conversations is brought to you by Wix.com. With Wix, you can show off your talents and experience by building a beautiful website that you love. You can promote your business, showcase your art, set up an online shop, or just test out new ideas. The Wix website builder has everything you need to create a fully personalized, high-quality, free website. Wix offers powerful features for your website like designer templates, mobile optimization, and personalized SEO. Wix has all the tools you need to create the exact website you want. Over 140 million people choose Wix to create their website. So create yours today and get started now by going to Wix.com. That's Wix.com/meaningful conversations to get 10% off. So don't lose the 10% off. I'm Maria Shriver, and this is Meaningful Conversations. On every episode, we'll take a journey into the lives of inspiring, thoughtful, thought-provoking people. People who are smart, spirited, and spiritual. People who have done extraordinary things to make a positive impact on our world. These are people I respect and admire. People who inspire me. I want them to share their stories, their experiences, their wisdom, and their feelings with you. I hope we can come together in community to reflect on the issues and topics that we're all thinking about, but no one seems to be talking about. I hope that you're inspired to have more meaningful conversations with the people in your life. This episode of Meaningful Conversations is really special to me because this week I get to share with you the voices of my dear friends Jon Bon Jovi and his wife, Dorothea. I've known them for years and years and years, and I adore them. They both have been great friends to Special Olympics. They've actually raised millions of dollars for Special Olympics through the very special Christmas albums. And I wanted to talk to them not about John's touring or his music, but about the really life-changing work they're doing with Soul Kitchens. It's total architect of change work, God's work. And I wanted you all to hear about what moves them, what motivates them, what inspires them. And I hope you will find this conversation incredibly inspiring as well. Jon and Dorothea, they have built an incredible life together. They're a great team. And once again, they're doing great soul work. So I'm sitting here with two people who are working on what I call the front lines of humanity, changing lives one soul at a time. They happen to be married. They happen to be friends of mine. And I happen to be really excited to talk to Jon and Dorothea Bon Jovi about life, about how they're spending their lives, what they're doing with their lives. And I want people to hear about what they're doing because I think sometimes we don't focus on things other than maybe what Jon is doing. So I wanted to start with you, Dorothea. And I always say that Dorothea is the only person I know in my kind of broader life that reminds me I'm on television because she texts me or sends me an email and said, I saw you on TV. Nobody in my family ever texts me anymore. So Dorothea's taken the place of my mom.
You're doing a great job.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Right. Well, we all need a little attaboy, pat on the back, right?
Amen. That's right. So, and my mother was the only person every time I was on TV when my mother was alive, she was the first phone call.
Good.
And now you're the only
I say
text.
that Eunice Shriver is my spirit animal.
Okay, let's start there. That's a really good place to start. Eunice Shriver is your spirit animal. What 100%. Do you mean by that?
Well, because who impacted the world like your mother did? I mean, changed the world for people living with disabilities.
Right.
Without a lot of fanfare, without, kind of banging a drum, just quietly doing the work that she was doing. I mean, pretty impressive.
And how did she inspire you?
Well, I think that, people say, oh, you should run for office, you should do this or that. It's not necessary. You can have not that I'm comparing myself to your mother by any stretch of the imagination, but, your mother, like I said, just impacted the world for people with disabilities around the world in her lifetime.
So when I emailed with Jon, he said, Dorothea is my Eunice.
Yeah, I call her Eunice all the time.
Yeah, but that's
All
Does
the
she
time.
respond to
ridiculous.
that?
Of course, because we both understand. Look, as you know, and your listeners may not, but we knew your mom and your
Yes.
dad. We knew them
Yes.
very well, and so we've always used you as we've looked up to you
Oh
for
my God,
all
I
the
just
years.
sound
of,
so old.
No, but for how long have we
Oh
been
my
friends?
gosh,
We've been friends a
absolutely.
long
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
and we'd always say Maria's the bar, Maria's the bar,
Yeah,
Maria's the bar.
100%.
And having known your mom and your dad, and realizing, of course, where you got it from, both of them, and we know what your mom did creating the Special Olympics, and it wasn't a celebrity-driven,
Right,
pretty.
right.
They started
Sexy,
it in their
no.
backyard.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, she created a movement around the globe, and when we would go to the Special Olympics opening ceremonies with
you
presidents
did.
and stadiums, and did those records and the concerts and all the things
Amen.
over the years. You know, we got to be around your mom and your dad, and then of course your family, the Shriver family,
Right.
as a result of that.
Great
Your
friends of Bobby.
brothers, and
Yeah.
and you, of course. And so your mom was a huge beacon of light. And so, you know, I have a letter in my office that's framed from your mom that she wrote to me for my work in the Olympics. It sits in my office, and you know, amongst the letters from presidents over the years. So your mom was a huge part, and therefore, with what Dorothea's created, which is not sexy, it wasn't the cool thing, it's not the celebrity thing. We created something that didn't exist, which was the Soul Kitchens, and she's doing it, and now it's going to a next level. And so, you know, it's an internal joke, but I always Eunice, and I tell her that, and that's when they write her book someday,
Which is never going to happen.
It
but
will,
he keeps
and when it
insisting
does,
that. I mean,
it'll
he's going to
be-
write it himself, I think, at this
For
point.
you.
and it'll be huge.
No, but what I said, I read in an interview that John said, look, I get all the credit for the Soul Kitchens, but Dorothea does all the work. And so I want people to understand the work of changing a person's life. And I say one soul at a time, because I think that's how people's lives get changed, one soul, one heart at a time.
Right.
So talk about the concept of the Soul Kitchen and how you know it's working.
Well, we see it every day when we're there. And John has done a ton of work and has worked in the homelessness, arena, and so he can't just say,
Building houses. Absolutely.
impacting people's lives in a very big way. But
Through home, right?
through giving
home.
someone a home.
Right,
Yeah, I
amen.
mean, that's a pretty powerful thing to give someone who, and it's not just here's your house. It's like here's wraparound services so that you can maintain your house and you learn how to keep your house. And so, the foundation's done a ton of work around that. And then with the Soul Kitchen, we see it from our thing is we meet people where they're at. So we're not trying to quote unquote fix anybody. It's like if you come in, very basically, you get a meal. So if you volunteer, you become part of our community. We learn about you. We direct you to resources, services, and that's like the basic. That's kind of how it works. And then from there, whatever the need might be, mental illness, addiction, we're always trying to just peel that onion of what people are dealing with, and it's a matrix of situations for people.
But really, it's not only that you give people a meal and you actually don't give them
Correct.
a
Right.
meal, right? So I think that's a really important distinction, what you're doing with Soul Kitchen. First of all, you're creating community
100%.
there. So like I can go and sit down next to somebody who has absolutely nothing. And in order to get their meal, I can either pay it forward and buy a meal,
Right.
or if they're eating there, in exchange for food, they're working.
Correct.
So talk about why that was so important, because it's not like, here, have a meal and go on about your day.
Right. This is about dignity. It's about human dignity. I have yet to meet someone who strives to be homeless, strives to be unemployed. Even with this furloughed workers, people who are coming in, they still want to give back. They still want to volunteer. They still want to be part of something. People want their dignity. People don't want to just get stuff for free. Most
Right.
people that I have met, that is not what they choose to do. They want to come in, they want to be part of something, they want to give back. Everyone can contribute in some way, whether you're disabled, as in Special Olympics, people can contribute, and they want to feel that they are doing their part in society. And that's what we see. Is people come in, whether they fold napkins, shovel snow, wash windows, whatever it is that we might need help with around the restaurant, people are more than willing to help.
And you guys help too. You guys work in the restaurant. John, I read in some of the interviews where you've talked about Soul Kitchen that how important it is first to put people like you guys or me or anybody else next to someone who's homeless, and that we wouldn't necessarily go to eat in a soup kitchen, right?
Yeah, ours is to get out of your mind the mental picture of a soup kitchen. This is not institutionalized at all. There's windows, and it looks like a bright bistro. The other thing that people don't know who have never been in this situation is you may be sitting to somebody who has financial woes, right? So they're
Right.
coming and they're participating in this model, but you're never going to know it. So again, take out of your mind's eye the guy that's in the movies with the shopping cart on the street that's suffering from mental
Yeah.
illness. Now, granted, we have some of that, but what we really are dealing with, like in our Toms River location where Dorothea was serving lunches today, is you have the bluest of blue collar, the hardest working Americans who are just making ends meet. They don't have a great savings, so they're coming because we're a resource. And then you complicate the situation because of the furloughed workers. So you're seeing these hardworking people
yeah,
come into our restaurant. So inclusion was a huge part of the model. What differentiated us from a soup kitchen where it's government subsidies, we don't have any of that institutionalized foods, from big cans of, processed foods, none of that. There's no French fries, there's no candy bars, there's no soda pop, there's no alcohol. It's all farm to table, bistro service, waiters, silverware, dishes, and inclusion. So when you're going to bus a table, you've earned your meal and you've earned the right to feed your family by coming and including. But when you, Maria Shriver, want to come and affect change directly, pay it forward. Pay a couple of bucks into our $20 pays for your meal and the guy next to you. You want to directly affect change. Because how many times have we all given a donation to something and wondered where it went?
Yeah.
Administrative costs or just, whatever it is that hinders the dollar directly from getting to the people. You want to directly affect change? $20 just paid for your meal and the guy next to you. And that guy's earned his meal. And that was a big differential when we created this model all those years ago. The first pilot program was in a church basement. And the church embraced the model, but said you have to bring in your dishes and your forks and your knives and your food. And at the end of the service, take it all with you. Okay, that was nice and we appreciated it, but that was a lot of work. We went down the same street to a soup kitchen that was closed on weekends. Talk about institutional. There weren't windows. It's not a very welcoming environment.
Yeah.
It was, government subsidized food. It wasn't good or good for you. The kind of clientele on the same block was a 180-degree difference. And those who were feeling the entitlements of soup kitchens where they're not embracing any kind of a model, they're just coming there for food, they were distant. And then what happened was when we said to them, look, this is not a soup kitchen on Saturday and Sunday. There's a tablecloth here for a reason. There's silver and platters and food, but we need your help because we're washing the dishes.
Yeah.
When they got that model, there wasn't even a big hug or a conversation, but they not only did it, but did it in such a way that they knew that they had their dignity getting that meal. They participated. So when we went on the same block, the third step on the same block to our current location, it was an auto body shop. It was yucked. There were 3 bays, 3 cinder block walls. Dorothea walked in there and says, I see the vision. So we turned it into this place. Again, that took a little acclimation from the locals.
Well, it takes education because it was a new model. So people have to understand you're not a soup kitchen, you're not a restaurant, but we are a restaurant posing as a social mission. So people have to understand this is a completely new concept. So people...
I would correct, not posing.
No,
you're a restaurant with
right.
a purpose. You're a
yes.
restaurant with a mission.
Absolutely.
Right?
Correct.
So
Right.
it's
Maybe
very
it's the other
clear.
way around. We're a social mission posing as a restaurant because the food is the vehicle